Hey, what is up YouTube? My name is David, this is Threshold Death 555. So, it's been a few months, but I am back, and it is that time of year again. It is time for me to do my favorite albums of 2020. 2020 has obviously been a challenging year for the most of us, but thankfully we had a lot of great music to come out this year that definitely got me through some tough times this year. But I'm going to do things a little bit differently than how I usually do. I'm going to start it off with some EPs instead of getting right onto the list. And we're going in the lists, and this is also not going to be ranked. The only thing that's going to be in order will be the album of the year. And this is also going to go into order basically from the stuff I heard first to all the way to the what I heard last or most recently. So that's basically how the list is going to be ordered, and it will be a top 50 this year. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get things started here with my favorite EPs of 2020. We're going to start it off with my Canadian buddies in Smolder, Dream Quest Ends. Love this EP. It's only 3 tracks, but it's 3 tracks of just fantastic, epic, heavy doom metal. You know, what these guys do best. Sarah's vocals are absolutely fantastic on this. I love the cover of Manila Road's Cage of Mirrors. I think they absolutely nailed it, and Sarah really does the song justice and she really doesn't try to sound like Mark at all, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But yeah, Smolder, Dream Quest Ends. After that is Mutries with their self-titled. This is a French heavy metal band with some speed metal and some punk in there as well. Very punk-like attitude and energy going on here, but yeah. Just fantastic French heavy metal, and they actually sing all in French. Female vocalist, she sounds great. Kind of reminds me of Chevalier at times, the vocals, with a little bit of if you remember when I was talking about Chevalier's album from last year, and I said that Emma I could hear some young Geddy Lee in her, I hear that in this band as well, so yeah. But if you just want some killer French heavy metal with an EP that actually has quite a bit of material for an EP, so it's not too short, definitely check out Mutries with their self-titled. And after that, we're going to go to Midnight Dice with Hypnotized. So thankfully, this band rose from the ashes of Satan's Hollow. Satan's Hollow, unfortunately, put out one fantastic album, and then they disbanded after that. But thankfully, Midnight Dice is basically just the same band, just under a different name. You still got Mandy doing the vocals, and she sounds great as ever. I am very, very eager to hear a full length from this project. So Midnight Dice with Hypnotized. After that, we're going to go to Carcass with Despicable. Very cool to see Carcass back. You know, the last thing we heard from them was Surgical Steel, and they were supposed to drop an album this year, but unfortunately that has been pushed back due to obvious reasons. But yeah, it's very cool to hear new Carcass material still. It sounds great. It's basically, you know, what you want from Carcass. Just killer death metal, grindcore. Yeah, good shit. Next, we're going to go to Unlucky Morpheus with Taki Yasuhime. This is, like I said, this is also an EP. 3 tracks, right? Yeah, 3 or 4 tracks. That what's really cool about this is they bring some like folky Asian some Asian kind of folk instrumentation into it, and you know, it's basically still the usual Unlucky Morpheus sound on top of that. But yeah, great. And the last one is Chevalier with Life and Death. I was so fucking stoked to see that Chevalier drops some new material this year. Doesn't matter if it's 2 tracks, just anything that this band releases at this point is enough to get me hyped. And they've already confirmed on their social media that they're working on their second full length, so I cannot fucking wait for that. But yeah, that'll do it for the EPs. Now if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get on to the actual list. One more thing before I start. Unfortunately, a lot of this stuff I do not own physically, so more than half of this stuff I did not get to pick up on CD this year, unfortunately, so I'm not going to talk as much in detail as I would if I was showing the CD. But anyway, we're going to start it off with ADX Bestial, French speed metalers. been around for a really, really long time. Great band. Really enjoyed this release. Newer ADX is very, very different from their early stuff. Instead of like their classic, just straight up speed metal sound, over the years into the 2000s, they do more of like a mixture of speed metal, heavy metal, and like power metal and thrash kind of thing. But it's still really, really good stuff. Good musicianship, good writing, catchy and memorable songs, sung entirely in French, as their albums usually are. Yeah, really enjoyed this. ADX Bestial. Next, we go to Ironsword with Servants of Steel. Fantastic Portuguese heavy metal band. This is their 5th full-length album. The label name escapes me what it's on at the moment, but yeah, just absolutely fucking fantastic, epic heavy metal. I know everyone loved the new Eternal Champion this year, and so did I, and maybe we'll see it later on in this list, but for me, my favorite epic heavy metal album is this new Ironsword album, Servants of Steel. They just, I'm just a real sucker for that Manila Road sound, and this band has always had Manila Road influence, but this sounds more like Manila Road than ever before. I also recommend it to fans of Omen and Manowar. If you're not familiar with this band, just, yeah, killer stuff. Love the riffs, just fantastic musicianship all around. And this vocalist, whoever he is, man, he's got that Mark Shelton vocal style just totally down. Love it. Ironsword, Servants of Steel. Next, we're going to go to Throne of Iron with Adventure 1. Shit, I don't remember the label for this one either, and I know it's a label that I'm pretty familiar with. Is it No Remorse? It might be No Remorse, but yeah. Throne of Iron is just a really fun Dungeon and Dragons themed traditional heavy metal band. Once again, bringing in some influence from Manila Road and just other classic metal like Priest, Maiden, yeah, just all the good traditional heavy metal stuff. You could definitely hear a lot of different bands in this band's sound. But yeah, it's got a great sense of humor to it with some of the lyrics. Some of the parts actually like really had me laughing throughout. But yeah, just really fun. Nothing, nothing too experimental. Nothing trying to reinvent the wheel. Just fun D&D themed heavy metal. Yeah. So that's Throne of Iron with Adventure 1. 1 second. Let me get some water here. Next up, we go to Intronaut with Grieving Birth. This is their 2nd full-length. Great Australian grindcore band. I love their first album, and this one is probably just as good, if not better. Just fucking ugly, intense, just dark fucking grindcore. A lot of insect warfare influence on this. Just really, really good stuff. Don't know what else to say. If you're a grindcore fan, don't miss out on this one. Next, we're going to go to Intronaut with Fluid Existential Inversions. This is released, I think this is on Metal Blade, if I remember correctly. Fantastic progressive metal / post-metal. Intronaut, I don't remember what number album this is from, but they've done a lot at this point, and this is definitely their weirdest, their most experimental, and also probably their heaviest thing they've ever done. Great songwriting, great musicianship, love all the songs. Definitely a standout for prog metal in 2020, without a doubt. So, Intronaut, Fluid Existential Inversions. Yay, now we get to go to a CD that I own. So, Temple of Void, The World That Never Was. Or is it just The World That Was? My bad. This is their 3rd full-length. It was a huge departure from their last 2 albums. Instead of, they kind of left behind the crypt-dwelling, creepy, evil-sounding death doom of the first 2 albums, especially their last one before this, Lords of Death. And they kind of moved into a more melodic and also kind of atmospheric kind of territory with this album. But the crushing heaviness or the crushing death doom is still in here, so make no mistake about that. Fantastic songwriting. Every track on here is just an absolute banger. This album just fucking crushes from beginning to end. Killer artwork. Yeah, Temple Void, The World That Was. I already talked about this one in quite detail in a collection update, so I'm not going to go too into it, but yeah, man. Temple Void, The World That Was, definitely one of the best Death Doom albums from this year. Easily. And next, we're going to go to Solitary Sabred with By Fire and Brimstone. This is a band that I had, never heard before. This is their second full length. This is a band from Cyprus, a country that I don't really know where that is, but that is where these guys are from. Yeah, I forget where exactly that is, but this is just some really killer traditional heavy metal / power metal that sounds like a mix of Sanctuary and Hellstar. The singer sounds so much like James Rivera. A lot of other people have made Bruce Dickinson comparisons, and that's fair, but I think more than anything, he's definitely just channeling that James Rivera from Hellstar vocal style. And if you know me, you know I love those two bands, so that's a combination that's almost near perfect in my eyes. Fantastic songwriting, great musicianship, heavy power metal with like a technical spin on things. Great vocals, like I said, because it, reminds me so much of James Rivera. Yeah, this album was just a complete surprise, a band I'd never heard before, and it was just something that popped up on Bandcamp. Some other people that I knew were buying it, and I decided to go check it out, and I was completely blown away by it. So yeah, Solitary Sabred or Sabred, By Fire and Brimstone. Killer shit. Next up, we're going to go to Lady Beast with the Vulture's Amulet. Once again, I don't remember what label this came out on, but this is just another great female-fronted traditional heavy metal band that sounds a lot like Crystal Viper. The vocal style sounds dead up like Marcia Gabriel, at least I think so. But great music, love the riffs, the songwriting, everything's catchy and memorable, just good, solid heavy metal. So yeah, Lady Beast, the Vulture's Amulet. Next up, we're going to go to Black Curse with Endless Wound. This is on Sepulchral Voice. This is their debut full length. This band features members of Blood Incantation, A Primitive Man, and Spectral Voice, and Chemists. So you have the vocalist of Spectral Voice also doing the vocals on this. You have the guitarist of Blood Incantation doing the bass on this. And this is just absolute dark, evil as fuck, crushing black death metal. Atmospheric at times, just so dark, dense, dismal, and just heavy sounding. Has doomy touches, just like, Spectral Voice does. And there's a lot of parts that I hear that some of the vocal styles that the guy from Spectral Voice on this does reminds me of Evangelist. Just this kind of like agonizing but like crying kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, but it just reminds me of what Evangelist does with some of their vocals. But yeah, this was probably like the first like death metal record I heard of 2020, and this was an absolute great start. Absolutely love this. Amazing debut. I cannot wait to see what they do after this, if this project is to continue. So if you're a fan of, Spectral Voice, of Evangelist, of any kind of of any of that dark, creepy, atmospheric Black Death shit, you will love the fuck out of this. So yeah, Black Curse, Endless Wound. Killer death metal. And we're going to go to one more for this video, and that is Ripped to Shreds with Luan. Andrew Lee comes back swinging again with another killer Ripped to Shreds album. Just that awesome mix of Swedish death metal, of doom, a bit of grind. Andrew Lee, he's the man. I love so many of his projects, and just Ripped to Shreds is just one he always absolutely just kills it with. So if you're a Swedish death metal fan, definitely don't skip on this. And if you're a death metal fan in general, this is definitely a standout for 2020 as well. So that'll do it for part 1. Part 2 will be up very soon afterwards. Similar to last year, this is going to be broken up into parts, 10 albums per video. So yeah, I'll probably go up to about 5 or 6. 6 parts is what I did last year. So we'll see how many it goes to. But that'll do it for part 1, and I'll see you guys all again for part 2.